Hello and welcome to Creator Weekly News for June 8th, 2025. I'm Peggy Kay. This week there are some big updates coming out of TwitchCon. It's a little bit of an update for YouTube, also Reddit, TikTok, Photoshop, Bing, and more. So let me get started. I want to start with this kind of smaller update from YouTube. If you do a search on YouTube where the results might be a little, let's say, sexy, then what they will do is blur the thumbnails of the videos in the search results. That way you don't unexpectedly see something that might be upsetting or something like that. These are videos, they should comply with the YouTube community guidelines, but they may have sexier thumbnails. So these are blurred. You can still see what the videos are about because you can see the title and description and the channel name, and you can unblur the thumbnails if you want. If this sounds familiar, YouTube started testing this a couple of months ago. So this has been around for a bit, but now it's implemented for everyone or is rolling out. I don't know if it's available now. That was the only YouTube update this week. I have a bunch of updates coming out of TwitchCon, which was in Rotterdam this week. Dan Clancy, the CEO of Twitch, made a bunch of announcements of what will be available. Some of the updates are available this month. Some of the updates won't be available until the summer, maybe some until the end of the year. But a lot of new things are coming. And I'm going to mention the ones I found most interesting that I think you'll find most interesting. If you want to hear about all of this updates that were announced, check out this week's newsletter and blog post. There is a link in the video description. So I want to say hello to the folks in the live chat. I see Craig and Jolynn. Anyone else here, please say hello. And if you have any opinions about this week's updates, I'd love to hear. So one of the big themes from the announcements was that they want to improve the experience for viewers on mobile devices. Most of the live streams on Twitch, at least the ones I've seen, are in landscape orientation. That's not great if you're watching with your phone. One of the things that they are going to launch is dual format streaming, where you can stream both landscape and portrait orientations simultaneously. So this should be better for folks who are watching on their mobile device because they can get a full screen sort of cropped view. They're going to start testing this summer. I mean, it's almost this summer now. So they're going to start testing this. I don't know when it will be available to everyone. And then they are making 2K 1440p live streaming available to partners and affiliates. And this is high resolution live streaming. It uses a newer HEVC codec. That means higher quality streams with lower bit rates. And the idea is that you can stream at the maximum that your computer can handle. Viewers will see the stream with a resolution based on their bandwidth. So they won't necessarily be forced to watch the highest resolution stream. This is currently in beta. Honestly, one of the things that I realized looking at this example, you can see here, that's from the Twitch Help Center. and that's actually a little video embed. At least in the embedded video, I'm not seeing a significant difference between those two different resolution streams. As a viewer, it probably doesn't make that much of a difference if you're watching from your phone, but if you're watching on a TV, that probably is a noticeable difference. And then from the viewer side, they have new clips creation tools. There's going to be suggested clips from your live streams. That's like an automated thing. It will find, oh, this may make a good clip. And for viewers, there's a new way to create a clip from a stream without actually leaving the stream. And this is in testing right now. They are also adding a clips leaderboard that lists the viewers who created the most viewed clips of your content. So if you have someone who is creating a lot of clips that get really popular, then they'll be acknowledged. And all of this is designed to encourage people to create more clips. The clips can be shared to other social media platforms. They can be shared to YouTube Shorts and I think to TikTok. So go out, create clips. And then there is a much requested feature that lets you rewind the live stream while it's live. This sounds like it's similar to YouTube's DVR feature. And the idea is if you have to step away or if you start and you join late, you can watch the first part of the stream that you missed. You can jump back in time. Over time, Twitch has said that they haven't implemented this because of the technical reasons, the way that they are pushing these live streams. This is apparently technically difficult to do, I guess. So with that in mind, Zach Bussey, who does a lot of Twitch commentary, he says he heard that this will require a paid subscription to the channel you're watching or an active turbo subscription through Twitch. So not everyone will be able to rewind, just people who are paying. So the other big news from TwitchCon was about monetization. Twitch is giving most streamers access to monetization and community building tools. But the catch is that you can only cash out if you are an associate or partner. So if you're just a regular streamer, you can use these monetization tools and you built up your earnings in Twitch, and you have to spend those earnings within Twitch to buy bits and gift subscriptions, that sort of thing. I guess, it helps build the Twitch ecosystem there. But what's really interesting is they've also made it easier to become an affiliate. You can see here the comparison of the original requirements versus the new requirements. You used to have 50 followers, now just 25. You used to have to stream 8 hours in the past month, now only 4 hours. You have to stream on 4 different days instead of 7 different days. And now the minimum average concurrent viewers on 4 different days, you have to have at least 3 concurrent viewers. Previously, you had to average 3 concurrent viewers over the entire month, not just on 4 specific days. So this should allow more streamers to become associates, become affiliates, and get more money. So we'll see if that's encouraging. You can check in your Twitch account settings how close you are to becoming an affiliate. Whoops. And you go into your creator dashboard. It's in analytics, achievements, path to affiliate. And it will show you how you are. I'm all 0 because I don't stream on Twitch. Maybe I should start streaming on Twitch. I don't know. And they say that the requirements, it doesn't include premieres, reruns, subscriber streams, or watch parties towards all these requirements. There's a couple of other sort of monetization related announcements, combos, so that's like people give gifts. They don't call them gifts. So the idea is you give a little gift thing and it has an animation and people can build that up and build that up. And streamers can run their own gift sub promotions, 70 hours of promotional time to use per year. So those are the big updates from Twitch. If you follow these things, there's a lot of similar features on all the live streaming platforms, and I assume that's intentional because those work. And it's hard to monetize as a live streamer. The other thing that Twitch changed is an update to the stream summary tab. It has a cleaner look, clearer time-based insights, and new collaboration stats. And I'll just show the example that they gave. For some reason, these numbers amuse me a little bit. The example is a live stream that's been going on for 20 hours with the average of 1 viewer. That's probably realistic, I don't know. But if you're live streaming on Twitch, you should check that out. Switching over to TikTok. TikTok has new controls that let you customize your For You feed. So you can go into your settings and there are standardized topics. There you can see a definition of the topics. It's like creative arts, fashion and beauty, sports. It's like 10 of them. And there is a slider. You can choose if you want to see more or less of that topic. I don't think you can turn off any of the topics completely, though. And you can also filter out specific keywords. If you turn on the smart option, it figures out similar keywords, variations on the term, that sort of thing. I do wonder how many people actually change these settings and how much of it is having the settings in case people do want to change it to keep up with regulations and so forth. Over on StreamYard, they have a couple of nice updates if you're live streaming from your iPhone or your iPad. The first is that you can use any browser on your iOS device. Previously, it was just limited to Safari. The other update is that if you're streaming or your guests are using an iOS device, it can make a local saved copy of the stream. So the reason why you would want to do that is if there is a glitchy internet connection or something, the quality of the stream may not be that good, but the locally saved recording should be good, right? Because it's just recording your video as usual. This is in addition to the cloud recording. Previously, this option was only available on the web. It's not available on Android, at least not yet. And I looked, and it looks like even if you're on the free plan, you get up to 2 hours of local recordings per month. So that seems like it's worth doing, especially if you're having a really important interview or something like that. If the quality of the live stream ends up bad, and so you don't want to necessarily have the recording there, you can use the locally saved copy to edit and make a nicer version. Another big update this week is the launch of Adobe Photoshop for Android. They launched this for iOS a few months ago. But if you have an Android device, you can go right now to the Google Play Store and install Photoshop. And it has the core Photoshop functionality, layers and image adjustments and all those things. It also has a bunch of AI tools powered by Firefly. And you can access free images from Adobe stock. So if you look at the promo, this is from the Google Play Store. They highlight some of the features, and some of them are the basic editing kind of features. But I thought it was interesting that they're really touting the AI-powered features like swapping your background, removing objects, generating new objects. It's all about AI now. This app is free to use, at least through the initial beta period. So that probably means it will not be completely free to use after it comes out of beta, or some features won't be free. I'm guessing that there'll be limitations to how many different AI generations you can do. There usually are limitations. So get Adobe Photoshop for your Android device and give it a try. And then while we're talking about generative AI, there's an update from Microsoft that they have launched Bing Video Creator. This uses OpenAI's Sora video generation model. So Microsoft is not creating their own models for this. They are partnered with OpenAI. I think they're actually one of the major investors in OpenAI as well. So is that theirs? I don't know. Currently, this is only available in the Bing mobile app. You can get it here, but it will be coming to the web as well. So how does this work? You type in your prompt, and it will generate 5-second videos. The output right now is vertical, 9:16. They will be adding 16:9 landscape soon. You can generate up to 3 videos simultaneously, and they store these videos for you for up to 90 days. You can download them. So you can't keep them as a whole library in the app. Videos have content credentials and provenance based on CTPA standard. That's the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. This is an open standard. It's supported by Adobe, Microsoft, Google, all the big players. Is it free? Now, none of the AI tools are completely free. Every platform, for maximum use, they want you to have a paid subscription or pay individually. For the Bing Video Creator, you only get 10 fast creations for free. And once you use those, you can redeem Microsoft Rewards points to get more fast creations. You can get points by doing searches on Bing, taking quizzes, making purchases from Microsoft, that kind of thing. And you can also redeem the points for other things, like I've done it in the past for Amazon gift cards. Not worth a lot of money, but if you're using Bing anyway, and of course, that's part of the point, right? They want people to start using their tools. This is, of course, a lot cheaper than using the Sora model directly from OpenAI. That requires a $20 a month ChatGPT Plus subscription or higher. It's not quite the same thing because you have more features when you do that. So Microsoft is not charging you, but it's pushing you to use your surfaces. And if you don't care about how fast the video is generated, you can generate video at standard speeds for free. It makes it sound like that may take a long time. I don't know how fast that is. So that is the big update from Microsoft. And then finally, over on Reddit, you can now control which posts and comments appear on your profile. So the default now is that if you post a comment or make a post in any Reddit subreddit that is public, that appears on your profile. But they acknowledge that maybe you don't want to highlight some of those. So now with this update, you can curate your profile by going in and saying, I don't want posts or comments I make in a particular subreddit to appear when people look at my profile. Those posts and comments are still public, of course, just a little harder to associate with you directly. So, you know, if you're posting in the politics subreddit and the knitting subreddit, maybe you don't want the politics post to show, or there's a lot of sort of self-help or true confession kinds of subreddits. You may not want those to show. There's also a toggle where you can say, I don't want any of the posts I made in an not safe for work subreddit to appear. It kind of makes sense. The caveat is that if you interact with a moderator of a subreddit, the moderator will be able to go look at your profile and see all of your public posts. That way, the moderator can more easily tell if you're a spammer or lying or whatever. So this doesn't keep you from being moderated. It just makes it so that things you may not want people to see front and center when they view your profile, they aren't that visible. It's kind of an interesting thing, right? I remember this argument back when in the Google Plus days, should you be able to choose? I know some people said, well, if you post publicly, it should all appear on your profile. But my feeling was always that it's not that I'm ashamed I post in certain places. It just may not be the first thing I want to see. And I think part of this may be that Reddit wants people to just use one profile rather than multiple profiles for different things. Some people are concerned that this will allow spammers or scammers more free reign. You can actually see in some subreddits where somebody posts something and you look at their profile and they see they posted it in a whole bunch of different places or maybe with a different description. So moderators can sort that out, but regular Reddit users won't see all those details if they've chosen to not show them on their profile. So those are the big updates this week. We are sort of in tech conference season. I don't know what to call it exactly. You know, we had Google I/O, we had TwitchCon. This coming week is Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. There's bound to be interesting updates from there, both on the software side and on the hardware side. So I guess that's what the beginning of summer is all about. So next week, expect Apple updates. And then I always like to finish up with what was happening 10 years ago this week. So 10 years ago this week, Friendster shut down. I'm curious if any of you watching this actually used Friendster. It was an old school social platform. So Friendster launched as a social network in 2003. That was before Facebook, before MySpace. And it had all the usual social features, posts and comments. It had dating, it had groups, all kinds of things. And it was popular. But from what I've read, they had difficulty scaling up, technical problems, maybe management problems, and they had a really hard time managing the really rapid growth. When MySpace launched, they had apparently some defections of users to MySpace because of these problems. You guys remember MySpace? Everyone had one at one point. Apparently, Google offered to purchase Friendster, but they got shot down, and that was called one of the biggest blunders in Silicon Valley. It's interesting to think what would have happened if Google had actually purchased this social network. Probably, Google Plus, or they would have turned it into Google Plus. I don't know. So Friendster still was popular, especially in Asia, until around 2009, and then they just dropped off. And the speculation is that this is probably because Facebook was getting so popular at the time. So it was acquired by a company in Malaysia called MOL Global, and a bunch of their patents were actually acquired by Facebook. So Google really lost out on all that. So this company, they owned Friendster, and in 2011, they made a really hard pivot, turning into a social gaming site. So people could keep their same accounts, but all of the posts and photos and everything they'd uploaded were gone, and this was just about playing games. I think not too surprisingly, that didn't work out either, and they decided to pause the service in June 14th, 2015. They said, however, due to the evolving landscape in our challenging industry, the online gaming community did not engage as much as we had hoped for. Profound development in the gaming industry has also led us to rethink our strategic priorities. So they paused it. Eventually it shut down, but I think it took a couple of years. So this isn't a new story. It's a social network. It was popular. It couldn't handle the growth. It lost out to first MySpace and then Facebook and shut down. But what I think makes this an interesting story from today is that in 2024, Friendster was relaunched as a social network again, new management, and it's promising all the right things, at least the current kind of vibe for social networks. It says it's users first. We won't sell your data. There's no algorithmic feed. You can sign up for early access right now if you want to get back in on Friendster. It will be interesting to see if this actually succeeds as a social network, but this seems to be a time where social networks are popping up really frequently. But like we saw when Elon Musk took over Twitter and people started breaking off from that, there were a bunch of different platforms that launched that have already closed in just less than a couple of years. It's not easy to maintain a social site, but if they're really not looking for maximizing growth, maybe it will work. So we shall see. That's all the updates I have this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you all next Sunday. Enjoy the rest